Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show, episode 766. I am your host, Matrixlord212. And I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's going on, everybody?
All right, so what do we have for Spider-Man:'Homecoming?
Well, it seems that Marvel has confirmed that Bokeem Woodbine, the actor who was in Total Recall and Fargo, is apparently confirmed to play Herman Schultz, the Shocker, in Spider-Man:'Homecoming. So that would be, I believe we're up to villain number 2 that's confirmed of 3 villains rumored.
Right. And the Tinkerer is technically not really a villain, just like a side amplifier to basically make their weaponry better. And
yeah,
that's this whole role. He was never really, Spider-Man versus the Tinkerer. He was always like, the Vulture would go to him and he would like do some modifications, or Shocker or anybody. And he would just like improve their, suits and stuff. So thereby tinkering. So he was never really a supervillain, he's like a supervillain mechanic, so to speak. So I wonder who the third villain's going to be if he's not. I don't know. I don't understand why we have to have so many villains. I mean, why can't we keep it at one villain? I think it's more interesting because on the first go, with this rebooted Spider-Man, you can have multiple villains. I mean, do you feel the same way or no?
I do. The fact that we have potentially 3 villains, even though we know, like you said, the Tinker is not really a villain, but I mean, to me, it feels like they're not learning anything.
No,
like
not at all.
How many? We've had 2 movies now of 2 Spider-Man films that had 3 villains: Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and both of them did terribly. And in my opinion, a big part of it was because they had 3 villains and they had to, they had to try and develop 3 characters that they could have focused on 1 or 2. Spider-Man's villains are not just simple characters. And you can't really simplify them as, the Shocker is just a guy who wears electric gauntlets. Like, when you do that, it cheapens it and people care less. You know what I'm saying? I thought that, getting Michael Keaton to play the Vulture, that's big enough. Why couldn't he have gotten the time needed, or why can't he get the time needed to be developed? Now, of course, we don't know yet. We don't know, if Herman Schultz is going to be a big part of the movie or if he's just going to be a little part, or, who knows. But I'm just wondering, and I'm not saying this is going to be a bad movie or anything, but I'm just wondering, where are they going with this?
Right.
What is the point of having the Vulture, the Shocker, and possibly the Tinkerer in this movie?
I mean, Marvel screwed up Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 because they kept pushing them to put more villains in it. So why are they doing it again? Don't they learn that they screwed up Spider-Man 3? They screwed up Amazing Spider-Man 2? Like, they're going to screw this up too if they keep it up. And one thing that I saw today that really struck a nerve was the fact that Stark Industries made these new web shooters. I'm sorry, but, and this is a big deal for me because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, but Peter Parker, the whole point of him making the web shooters show that he's smart, like super intelligent, and that he was able to create that on his own, where he's supposed to use his brain to beat the villain, not necessarily his powers, So if you don't have him invent the web shooters and develop new and improved web shooters, and you have him given as a gift from like Tony Stark, that is so... They lose so many points in my eyes, Marvel, for doing that. Because that is not what Spider-Man does. Like, he does it himself. Maybe, Tony Stark, gave him money to get, like, a nice suit. But that's ridiculous. I'm drawing a line with that. I mean, it was, with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, he didn't have to build web shooters. I understand that. I always liked the classic web shooters. Amazing Spider-Man, he didn't even invent it. It was like Oscorp's thing that he altered. So, again, why can't we get a completely true to the comic Spider-Man that he is using his own web shooters. That's a big deal for me, Chris. I'm sorry. I have a big problem with that. So, I don't know. Do you have a problem with that or not really?
To be honest, I actually really like the fact that he's giving him the web shooters. This is why I would be on the same page as you if he made them outright. But the fact that we saw that Peter had them in Civil War, that he made the original ones,
right?
I'm okay with that because this is my thing. This is how I think about this new Spider-Man. Had he been one of the first heroes in Phase 1, I think we would have seen him make the web shooters. We would have seen that origin story, like normal. But the fact that he's kind of what I'm considering he's kind of late to the party now, seeing that we have all this, I think it's better that we have someone like Stark help him with this stuff because in my eyes it's a bit more believable that way. I don't really buy at this point Peter doing all these things and making all these things because this, to me, it feels the same way as what we were talking about with Suicide Squad. If he was able to make all of these things, why wasn't he involved in the Battle of Manhattan? Why wasn't he helping them against Ultron? Why wasn't he helping in other things? To me, him kind of like getting scraps together and making a suit and web shooters like that, it kind of makes it more – it makes more sense to me that he's just kind of staying block by block rather than having this really high-tech equipment and a really nice suit and really advanced web shooters and just doing block by block. To me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but the whole point is that he became Spider-Man after the attack in New York. After that, he just became Spider-Man recently.
We don't know that, though.
Mm.
They never confirmed when he became Spider-Man. So if they do say that, again, he would probably have become Spider-Man before Ultron because apparently Stark has been watching him for a while.
Okay.
Based on the evidence that we saw in Civil War. So while I see where you're coming from where you want Peter to make the web shooters, I think we're going to see that eventually. Like he'll make new ones or whatnot, but maybe what happens in this film is maybe he fights the Shocker or the Vulture and his old web shooters get destroyed.
Right.
And Stark says, here. Or, I don't know, I don't really know if these web shooters were on him in Civil War. Because I don't think he was using the ones that he built, because if you remember, the one that he built was like a really big, like it was like a hunk of junk on his wrist when he used it. I think that Stark probably modified it when he gave him the new suit.
Okay.
So I do see where you're coming from, though, because that is a big change to the character.
I mean, this is an Orange Spider. This is like,
But I gotta say, though, I'm not up in arms about it. But I will say this. If it's a running thing that Stark always just comes to him and gives him new stuff, then I would have a problem with it. Then I'll be like, no.
I have a problem with it already. Because, again, it doesn't work for me. It's Spider-Man. That's the whole point, that he uses his brain to create it. I mean, I just don't accept it for now. But
I mean, they look cool. They're pretty streamlined. I like that.
Created himself. I don't know. I mean, are we gonna have a joke that he's gonna create the Iron Spider costume for him eventually?
Well, I think we'll see that eventually. Yeah, but
yeah. Well, eventually they're gonna have to turn on each other because he's gonna have to turn against Tony Stark because he realized Tony Stark is not doing the right thing.
Well, they don't have to do that.
Wow.
They could do that, but they don't have to. I mean, in the new cartoon in Ultimate Spider-Man, I believe that like they give him a lot of stuff. They give him a lot of web shooting things and stuff. And I read a rumor too that apparently in this movie he's going to be able to shoot different types of webs.
Well, he did in the comics create different type of weapons to deal with different type of foes like Electro and all that stuff. So
I know he had that one that's modified when he fought Hydro Man and stuff.
Yeah, he developed all kinds of webs and stuff like that back in the day. So, all right, I actually got the comic.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, if you could talk for a few seconds while I go get it instead of his dead air. Anything else you want to add about Spider-Man? Or anything, I guess. So
yeah, I think there was a new Doctor Strange trailer. They tied it to the Olympics, I believe. I've yet to see that, but I'm pretty excited for Doctor Strange. I mean, it's definitely going to be different than what Marvel fans, like new Marvel fans who are getting into the movies, it's probably going to be pretty different from what they're used to, because, I mean, there's not really going to be a logical explanation for a lot of the things that happen. And I think that it was clever that they had I almost called her the Enchantress. I think it was clever that they had the Ancient One talk to Stephen Strange and say, not everything has to make sense. I thought that was a clever little nod there.
what about the magic?
Yeah.
You didn't. They shouldn't explain it, I don't think. All right, so I got this a little late. Now, I just skimmed through it. I don't want to really give it away, but she does wear this in the comic, and she does fight supervillains as the Iron Spider. And that's all I'm going to say. Tomorrow starts the Clone Conspiracy, which, the Return of the Jackal, Return of the Clones, or not clones, or whatever the hell they're trying to explain. I guess Gwen Stacy, we don't know if it's the real one or if it's a clone, and there's going to be a whole lot of crap going on tomorrow. So I am looking forward to that because, again, I'm a huge fan of Gwen Stacy, and if it's really true that she didn't die, that would be amazing, but, so we'll see what happens. So there you go. What else? Doctor Strange is going to be great, I think. I think that's going to do really well in the box office. I think that's going to be a success. I think it's going to get sequels. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I think it's going to do really well. It might be a bit different than what some people are expecting, but I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. We had Suicide Squad numbers. It was like 280.
Oh yeah.
Wide. But it is dropping off dramatically. Sort of like the Batman vs. Superman, but it's very alarming, Chris, because I was looking at that and I'm like, ooh, we're down to 13 million. So each day I'm going to have to check that really closely to see, how much people are pissed off, actually, because I didn't realize people were that pissed off. But signs are not good so far.
Yeah, I was interested that with what's going on with that, but I was more interested in seeing the news that they were doing Man of Steel 2, that they put that into active production or pre-production.
Weren't we talking about that the other night?
Yeah.
And we said odds are if Suicide Squad does bad, you green light like Man of Steel 2 and a Batman movie right away.
Well, I was thinking that it would make more sense for them to speed up the Batman movie, because that seems to be what everybody's really interested in now, myself included, seeing Ben Affleck as Batman in a solo Batman movie. Mm-hmm. But by solo, I mean Batman being the only hero, superhero. But right. I was kind of surprised when they put Man of Steel 2, and I think that they also said that it's imperative that they get the character right.
Yes.
Which I 100% agree, because I think it's time to stop with this depressed, I don't know if I want to do this Superman.
Yeah.
Get into the, yes, I'm Superman. I'm the ray of hope. That's what I hope they get into. But
I mean, is it safe to assume that Batman versus Superman should have been lighter and Suicide Squad should have been darker?
I mean, I think that was one of the problems of Batman versus Superman, but yeah, I agree, yeah.
And because Batman Superman, they altered the Suicide Squad purposely.
Yes.
To make it lighter. And we did predict that they would screw it up by doing that. And I really would have thought it would have been a whole lot better. I mean, if you think about it, how could any company tell them they got 6 weeks to write a script? I mean, what was the whole point of them shredding the script for the original Justice League? So now, how does that make any sense? And now you give them 6 weeks?
Well, this is what I was saying, because when that story came out, all of these sites are like, guys, don't worry. Reshoots are normal. And I was like, yes, reshoots are normal. But not like that.
No, bull crap. Same thing like Rogue One, I'm scared too.
That's what I was just about to say.
Totally scared about that.
This movie has now made me paranoid for Rogue One.
I am beyond paranoid
over the
for
top.
Rogue One. Beyond. Because that is a bad sign. that they're trying to restructure and alter the movie. Really bad.
And I know we reported it on here, but I don't, like, everybody was saying, well, look, Mads Mikkelsen and this one and that one were saying, yeah, this is all normal. And I was like, guys, they work for the movie. They work for the company. They're not going to come out and say, yeah, there's a problem.
No, never. Never. It will never say that. But Brian, I mean, what's his name? He's got to be done soon.
Who's Zack Snyder?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let me tell you this, right?
Isn't he had input in Suicide Squad? Didn't he alter it?
They said he had a scene, or he did a scene.
Come on, he altered that.
But I got to tell you right now, right? And this is what, if Justice League does really well, great. But I'm terrified that if it does well, that they're going to be like, hey, go make Man of Steel 2. And then he's gonna do it again. Now, maybe that will be good. I don't know. If he doesn't, maybe he learns from it. But I got to tell you, I think that he wants to do these things his way, and he just doesn't care what anybody else thinks.
Right.
Which...
If Suicide Squad does not make over $800 million, it's a failure. I mean,
I would say it underperformed. Yeah.
Not a failure. Can't say a flop, but if it makes 750 to 800, it's not a flop because it made everything back, but it's a disappointment. So, it's all key. I mean, you split you take what it makes, you split it in half, we get that. Then you got to see how much they spend for production, how much they spend for marketing. But at the same time, companies make a decision to make a sequel anyway. And the way they're talking on Facebook, I saw at Suicide Squad 2, they're writing the script and all this other stuff. I mean, I think that's a pretty good sign they're going to go ahead with the sequel anyway. Regardless if it doesn't perform well. I mean, and that's scary too, because where do you draw the line with DC movies if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do? I mean, if they have an unlimited bank to keep doing that, I honestly think, like, if Suicide Squad, tanks, soon, that's a strike too, I think.
I would say so.
And I tell you right now, I'm pretty sure they're not changing anything with Justice League. So I don't think it's going to be that successful either, to tell you the truth. I hate to say it because I don't want, I want to see another Suicide Squad. I want to see the Harley Quinn Joker movie, Batman movie, Man of Steel. But Justice League, I got to tell you, from that little snippet thing that we saw, I wasn't impressed at all with that. So,
well, I got to say this, right? Early next year, we have Wonder Woman. Okay, that really, really has to do well. A lot. It has to do really well. Okay, Justice League. This is what I think is going to happen with that. I think that by default, that movie is going to do a huge number because it's Justice League.
I don't agree with that.
I don't think it's even an opinion because look at what Batman versus Superman did. As much as we didn't like it, it still did well. It may have underperformed a bit, but people went to see it because it's Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, but are they going to spend $800 million for Justice League?
Yes.
And you really think it's going to do $1 billion?
I think it's going to come close. Do you want to know why? Because that is their end game. That is the point of all of this. And if that doesn't do well, then there'll be a problem. Then you'll see that will be.
I'm willing to take
that will be the
three strikes before. All right.
They're not going to stop. I mean, let me say this: could Justice League flop? I don't think so. Could it underperform? Yeah, I think it could.
I think it could underperform.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna go down the drain just because.
What would be the purpose if it makes a profit of $50 million? How the hell is that a success, really? I mean, in the scheme of the DC cinematic universe, I mean, how much money are they throwing at these things? I mean, the whole point is to be profitable.
Well, look at what they spent on Batman versus Superman. I think it's going to come close to that with Justice League.
They probably made the money back with the merchandising. Sure. And Suicide Squad stuff too. I don't know what merchandising, but
well, I gotta tell you,
I gotta tell you, I like Suicide Squad though. I didn't like Batman vs Superman. I like Suicide Squad. So
yeah, a friend of mine who collects a lot of the merchandise, he showed me some of the stuff from Suicide Squad, and the merchandise, in my opinion, is not that great.
mm,
It's very cheaply made, like the figures and stuff. Like they looked cool when we first saw them, but I
right.
don't know.
All right. That's it for now, guys. We'll have to wait and see with these comic movies, man. We did get they had a teaser picture of Loki in costume today. He just gave like a wink to the camera. I'm glad Loki's still around. That's fantastic. We also heard about Professor X, Patrick Stewart's possible final incarnation as Professor X the last time. I mean, maybe he'll be in it one more time. I'm not sure. So we'll see. And there's all this news hitting it all over the place with Marvel, and I'm telling you, everybody's watching Suicide Squad right now. They're watching very closely, because if you don't think that if it does bad, it's going to affect Marvel, it's going to affect Marvel, all right? They're going to think twice about some of the stuff they're going to put out, especially Inhumans, mind you. So, which I'm just telling you right now, I'm not a hater on Inhumans, but I'm just saying, like, the way I grew up into the comics, it was always like, a million superhero teams, and then Inhumans. the last. It's like, so I don't really see them. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to go see the Inhumans. Not really. I'm sorry. I'm not even going to watch Legion. That's garbage too on Fox. Absolutely not. I will not watch that. Sorry. No. All right, guys. Take care. Bye for now.